would you say from like a music revenue generation, like sort of perspective, right? Like there's live performances, right? And I'm sure as you build your portfolio, as someone builds their portfolio, it allows them to, graduate, right? Potentially from, or offers more opportunities from going just to the local bar scene or community events to actually, I don't know, for example, performing at weddings or performing at galas or events where maybe they have bigger budgets, to pay you more, but also that probably means that your production or style of music also has to fit, that specific theme. And then you also have the Spotify, YouTube ad revenue, where you actually play your music, where people digitally discover your talents or a performer's talent. So like, talk to me about like the revenue generation side and like how maybe artists try to strategically maybe place more emphasis on one thing or another, or it's like, how do artists decide which parts of the music industry or business to really focus on?
When I released my first album in 2018, I think I was talking to a few mentors and friends. Like, I consider like Lex the Lexicon artist an awesome mentor and friend. And we spoke about it. And I think, you go into each platform knowing hopefully with a little bit of research, knowing the pros and cons of going there, right? So the pro and con for Spotify, for instance, is that it's universal and everybody uses Spotify. And a lot of things are based on playlists in terms of people blowing up. And there's a chance that, if you post something and you promote it properly, like even within Spotify itself, like there's a chance that it can get to a lot of people, right? So an example of this would be my song Cherry Jubilee, which I was doing in collaboration with Miyune, who is a VTuber on Twitch. That song had 200 pre-saves, like 200 300 pre-saves, and I think that even alone got it to sort of pop off in a bunch of different playlists and show up on the radar of Spotify's algorithm. And now it's almost at 400K plays, in the course of 2 years, which for me, like I've never experienced anything like that before. And I think a big part of that is that Spotify, everyone uses it, and um, that's a good thing about it. The downside, however, is that their artist payment structure is very geared towards them getting the majority of the pie, and the artists getting like a small piece, which I think naturally rolls with you know the guidelines that they set up when they made the app and knowing that everyone's using it. So it's like TLDR, Spotify, good for exposure, good because it's universal. People will be more likely to listen to you all over the world. Downside is you probably aren't getting super, 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 super paid off of it. You might be getting something, but it varies. I think other things are just like, yeah, like YouTube. Like YouTube's the same thing where you have to have your channel reach a certain amount of subscribers and then get monetization, and then from there, those percentages occur. But I think similar to what we were just talking about going into the red, YouTube as a platform is free to upload to, but you have to put in a lot of time, and you probably have to put in a lot of work and resources into making quality videos that will get your subscribers up and get people to click on it and watch it through towards monetization, meaning you are going to be going in the red, most likely in some way for a while before it starts to build traction. But you have to walk the walk in that regard.
I think that makes sense from a creator perspective. You hear a lot of it where like people have been grinding for years, right, just to gain some initial traction, and then it eventually sort of pops off the longer you sort of stick with it. I'm very curious though, when you mentioned the 400K plays for your song Cherry Jubilee, like did you notice any increase in like follower growth or like let's say people on your Twitch channel, right? Like even though you had the discoverability and awareness part of it, was there any capture on your side in terms of growth?
There's not a linear answer to that question, but the short answer is yes. It's definitely not a situation where it's like this, you know. Some days it's more so than others, but I think a big part of it is seeing that, the YouTube video for Cherry Jubilee still gets comments to this day, like randomly here and there. Um, and that, seeing that, seeing like emails or purchases of the song on Bandcamp to this day, like, from fans of it. And then also random people coming in, or yeah, like people coming in, into the stream complimenting the song, like saying, "Hey, like I just want you to know it was awesome," or "I just found it." Those things are areas where, yeah, retention I feel has happened in a good way. In both the way of like, people being in tune with what I do outside of that song, and then also from like a more so an emotional level that like, like we created something great and people, it doesn't stop at the year that it, got dropped, right? Which is a fear of many musicians, is you drop a song, it's awesome, and then everyone kind of moves on to the next thing, right? Like that's I think a fear every person who creates and releases has.